Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great honors to be a university president or chancellor is that on rare occasion you are afforded the opportunity to recognize someone who has made a significant, long-lasting, and substantive contribution to work we call education. And in this case, not only is our person here today our commencement speaker, but also be the recipient of an honorary doctorate from Northeastern State University. I'm referring to Dr. Rennard Strickland. It is impossible to discuss American Indian law without mentioning his name. During his entire career of teaching and researching the subject, he has become known throughout the country and beyond. He has served as professor, dean, director of programs where the legal nuances unique to American Indian law have been introduced, discussed, and reviewed by students, who I am sure have been inspired by his uncommon grasp of concepts that he has known most of his life. In a 1995 interview, Dr. Strickland said, "It is impossible to practice law in Oklahoma and avoid questions that relate to Native Americans." It was that intrinsic understanding that compelled him to write the doctoral dissertation known by this title, Fire and the Spirits, Cherokee Law from Clan to Court, and is considered a seminal text today in American Indian law. Rennard Strickland is a native of Muskogee. He's both Cherokee and Osage, and he came to Northeastern as a student with a talent for debate and a burning desire to achieve. In 4 years, he earned his undergraduate degrees, multiple degrees, graduating in 1962. He then went on to earn his Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Virginia, then a master's degree from the University of Arkansas, and then back to Virginia for his doctorate in juristic science. He has served as the law school dean at the University of Oregon, Oklahoma State University, Southern Illinois University, and the University of Tulsa. Today, he's a senior scholar in residence at the Center for the Study of the American Indian Law and Policy at University of Oklahoma Law Center, where he served as its founding director. And for 40 years, more than 40 years, he has established himself as a scholar of American Indian culture, assembling one of the nation's most remarkable collections of American Indian art. And then life comes full circle. He returns to us today to his alma mater as our commencement speaker, as we congratulate the class of 2010 and send them into the world to continue the legacy of learning and achievement that he helped pioneer. But we are honored to recognize his accomplishments and his commitment to education, to American Indian law and culture by bestowing upon Rennard Strickland the Northeastern State University Honorary Doctorate of Science. Dr. Strickland, please come forward.
Thank you. The shadows cast by the Cherokee seminarians on the Northeastern graduates in the class of 2010. I'm not so sure that I realized when I first enrolled at Northeastern in September of 1958 that I was in fact enrolling in one of the very first institutions of higher education west of the Mississippi River. Northeastern had more than 40 years on the University of Oklahoma when it was proposed by the legislature in 1891 that the University of Oklahoma be organized. For you see, the Cherokee Nation had founded the Cherokee seminaries in 1851. I enrolled here because of the forensic program, and most particularly because of the debate coach, Dr. Valjean Littlefield. We became the first Northeastern State College team to attend the West Point National Debate Tournament, thanks, no doubt, to Valjean's coaching ability. The annual seminary homecoming was last weekend, May 7th. Rick Ward, president of the Descendants of the Cherokee Seminary Student Association, said, "The significance of the event is to commemorate, preserve, and maintain the history and tradition of the seminaries." The Cherokee male and female seminaries were boarding schools opened by the tribe in 1851. The male seminary stood southwest of Tahlequah and its female counterpart north of Park Hill. In identical three-story brick structures, the Cherokee Nation offered students preparatory curriculums including, hear this, Greek, Latin, German, French, chemistry, history, geology, astronomy, zoology, geography, U.S. history, English history, political economy, and philosophy. Wow. Prospective students were required to do a two-day examination, and the successful were then educated at the tribe's expense. 36 women and 13 men were graduated in 1856 from the seminaries which volunteered and which subsequently became Northeastern State University. The tribe's hopes of admitting more students were dashed by the coming of the Civil War, and the seminaries could not be reopened until the beginning of the 1870s. To attract more students, the post-Civil War seminaries admitted students from other tribes as well as Cherokees. Cherokee representatives visited New England's universities seeking teachers. The men and women they hired from Yale, Princeton, Mount Holyoke, and Newton Theological Seminary became the predecessors of the faculty of Northeastern. And this included Florence Wilson, hired as the principal teacher in 1875 and serving more than 25 years. 2 years after statehood, in 1909, the state of Oklahoma bought the female seminary for $40,000 to have as a state teachers training institution. The next year, the male seminary, which was now being operated by the Cherokee tribe as coeducational facilities, burned. Commencement exercises held at Northeastern Normal School in the spring of 1910 honored the last students to earn degrees at the Cherokee National Seminary. I did realize by the spring of my freshman year, when the seminarians returned for their annual picnic, just how significant a group and this history made Northeastern the so-called state college or normal school. That was the spring of 1959, and there were many what we students called original seminarians. Well, they had a picnic to end all picnics. The campus was served with fried chicken, barbecue, potato salad, deviled eggs, baked beans, pickled beets and okra, deviled eggs, and carrot cake, lemonade, and they would invite all of the Indian students to join them in the front of the library for a great feast. I remember thinking at the time, these folks are old. Sure, Most of them were younger than I am now, much younger. But they were surely enjoying themselves at their picnic. Indeed, the years seemed to have left them, and they were back as young, or at least turn of the century, attending their seminaries. Chad Smith, principal chief of the Cherokees, and I have written a book in which we offer photographic evidence of just how young these seminarians really were. Jeannie Ross Cobb, a student photographer at the Cherokee Seminary, has a collection of her works at the Oklahoma Historical Society. She made photographs of a number of her classmates that were attending the Cherokee Seminary. These included attending Cherokee County Fair, a lemonade party at the Murrah House, and a summer watermelon celebration. The book, and you know, I just have to do this, available in July at fine bookstores everywhere. Plus, Chad and I will be autographing copies of the book entitled Building One Fire, Art and Worldview in Cherokee Life at the Hard Rock Casino in Tulsa. My father's great-aunt Lily attended the Cherokee Female Seminary. When in the early 1950s, or perhaps 60s, public broadcasting did a production of Shakespeare's entire body of plays, she explained to me that she was able to follow along in the original scripts in the edition she had read while she was studying Shakespeare during her days as a student at the Cherokee Female Seminary. She had kept the original text of the great bard, she reported to me, for more than 60 years. I would say that the education which I got here at Northeastern and the education that you in the class of 2010 have gotten here will last you much longer than 60 years. I believe the major contribution that NSU has made in my life, and I'm equally sure that our common alma mater has made in your life, and you may not realize this until you are, God forbid, my age, is a light within you to set afire the search for knowledge. This, I believe, is also the heritage which the Cherokee seminaries have given to each and every graduate of the successor institution known as Northeastern Oklahoma State University. It is the sacred fire of the ancient Cherokees movement. It's moved into educational settings. It is the fire within, the warmth of our alma mater, our mother, welcoming us home to the nutritious heart of our university. NSU's graduates, as we are, have introduced individual flames that combine the purity of love to build this sacred fire for future generations. In harmony, we gather with purity of thought, possessed of the virtuous flames of knowledge, wisdom, compassion, and guardianship. This is the shadow, indeed, the shadows cast by the seminarians over and onto the Northeastern graduating class of 2010. This is not just about graduates of today. There's is a remembrance and a celebration of those forebears who laid the path for our spiritual journey. Our children, the precious future generations, will be tomorrow's flame bearers. We are not constrained by the artificial dictates of industrial time in which the tick-tock of temporal regulation separates the modern West from its past. Our forebears' journey has taken them onward, but they are present still in the actions that they put into motion and still contribute to our society. The four directions reflected in the placement of the logs in the building of the fire are crucial. This is so not only because they reflect the cardinal directions of north, south, east, and west, but because they represent the key elements in a well-lived life. The contemplative approach and spiritual preparedness required of graduates of Northeastern State University makes us comparable and compatible with the past. This is how creativity works, where the creator's insight be appreciated for technical and aesthetic skills, but more important, for completeness and enriching the community. In the final analysis, the value of an NSU graduate rests first and foremost in the public demonstration of citizenship through the personification of the virtues and qualities of a good man and a good woman. Good men and good women must be receptive to the pursuit of knowledge, flexible and judicious in its application to wisdom, compassionate in their approach toward and support of others, and willing to accept the guardianship of future generations. Wilma Mankiller, who received this degree last year, quotes from the traditional wisdom of the Iroquois Confederacy. In every deliberation, we must consider the impact of our decision on the next 7 generations. We must value individuality, individual creativity for the contributions that they make into the larger society. Yet it is equally important to remember that the humane quality required for those to advance the community are gifts of the divine. What we as graduates of Northeastern State University are is a vital, dynamic combination of both our unique selves and the nurturing contribution of others. Few Americans understood when they heard the 20th century humorist Will Rogers say, "I never met a man I didn't like," that they were giving a lesson in Cherokee philosophy, one taught with regularity at the seminary. The thoughts of Will Rogers reflects his people, not only their ideas, but the creative impact as well. At the beginning of the 21st century, Cherokee tribal government sought to distill the attributes of traditional values, including many Rogers publicly proclaimed or pointed to with humor. Our teachers advise us to face change without fear, strengthened by the courage and resolve of our forefathers. Today, NSU graduates are blessed by a vibrant new generation of thinkers and doers. Some will become captains of commerce and industry, others movie stars and doers, musicians. They will be teachers, computer programs, artists, and lawyers. They struggle yet succeed in straddling the traditional and the modern America. In the laboratories at NASA, Northeastern Sciences will create a new spacecraft. Architects and builders erect museums and skyscrapers. NSU doctors address the world's ills, and our NSU bachelor teachers stroke the fires, new fires, with embers from the past. And around those fires are stretched out 7 and more generations to the future, flickers the individual flames of graduates of one of the oldest institutions of higher education west of the Mississippi, Northeastern State University, successor to the original seminaries. Thank you.